Hello everyone, I'm Eylül Aşkın from Turkey News Portal. We have been invited to such significant event that occurs today, an international summit that brings key institutions and companies together to explore deep tech solutions addressing planetary health and human health, Hello Tomorrow 2024. We will have the chance to ask a few questions to foundational institutions and companies to explore their contributions, current and future plans. These companies are currently leading the sector. We are now with Ash Ravikumar, the Entrepreneurship Development Manager at CERN. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for accepting our request. What is the importance of the current summit for you?
Look, so for me there are two different aspects which don't gel. One is people with technologies and people with the needs. They don't talk with each other, right? Events like Hello Tomorrow brings the people to saying that, I'm sure 20% of the audience didn't know about CERN, but now they go back and say, ooh, like I talked about it, let me go check what's on CERN. So events like this, it's to make sure people are aware. What do we have so much of information about everything everywhere, but getting that information is hard, right? What do you search for? So events like this are brilliant because now you know more about what you didn't know before. So I'm happy.
CERN is known as groundbreaking research center in high technology. What are the biggest advantages of the technologies you license to startups?
So whatever tech we develop is already being used, right? So we don't develop technology which is more like, let me think how to do that. Whatever we use are currently used at the Large Hadron Collider. So if you do TRL levels, we're at TRL 10 because it has to be mission critical, tested through a radiation protection, all of it. So it is used at a Large Hadron Collider. So which means the tech comes with a lot of data on how to use it, how not to use it, when it works, when it doesn't work. But the asterisk I want to put it there, it's all under the realm of particle physics. So if you take that and do in a medical application, you still have to start from there to build your product and test it, but at least you have enough data to actually put in that startup already. The other thing what we want to do is, it's also the existing dogma that you are having a laser technology, you have to be a laser, you have to have a physics degree to understand lasers. You don't, right? I mean, you might be a surgeon who knows a lot about surgery, but you just want something to cut with. So a laser can help you do that, but you don't have to understand lasers. You just want a black box with a specific light characteristic which will do that. So our view is, I'll give you the black box, test for your use case. If it works, great, you can raise money and hire a physicist in your group to help you with developing the product. But for me, it's to give the tool to the person so that they can build it. So that's why we want to kind of demystify the really high-tech, I can't use it, I need a physics degree, to saying that, it's a prototype. I've got a use case. Let me see what happens. I break it, Ash said it's okay. So that's pretty much what we want to do.
So you give it for free in the beginning?
Yes.
And how does the process of accessing CERN's technologies work for entrepreneurs? Can we get information about the application and the collaboration process?
Absolutely. So it's called ventureconnect.cern. That's our website where we run the Venture Connect program. It's a simple 2-page application. It's actually 4 questions. What are you building? Why are you building? What tech do you want to use? And what is your risk profile that you look at, the technical risk and how do you want to mitigate it? So that's the 4 questions we ask. The startups apply to that on the use case, on our tech. All of the tech is already there, interviews with the inventors, all the data sheet, all of it is there. So we want startups to say, I like that laser, but I'm not really sure, but this is what. Talk to us, we'll have a first call with you, and then second is like, that's good. You sign an agreement which is very simple, 0% equity, 2% royalty if you cross $1 million, million Swiss francs, and then we give you the prototype. Go build it. If you break it, thank you for trying, and then we go on.
What is CERN's role in the entrepreneurship ecosystem?
Look, we have a very unique role, as in our pursuit is not an entrepreneurship at all, right? Our pursuit is in particle physics. What was CERN's goal is to find out and answer questions on why do we exist, what is black matter, what is dark energy, all of that, right? But we also know that a lot of what we do can impact health, can impact imaging, cancer therapy. We have something called as proton therapy, which is a far better cancer therapy, and there's about 6 places that you can get that work for cancer. So our view is not on entrepreneurship. Our view is on creating the answer for those fundamental questions we don't. In that process, we have created some of these inventions, and we want startups to take it and go to market because they've got a fire in the belly to go get to market. So our view on entrepreneurship, CERN's view, is that we want to support entrepreneurs, we want to give the tools. We are not optimized to make money out of it. We measure only an impact, right? If you want to build something and save something, take it free almost. Most people have the problem with like, are you sure it's free? And I'm like, if it is 2% on $1 million, you pay $20,000 when you do $1 million in sales. That's less than what you pay, right? So it's almost free.
Can you give us a few examples of startups using CERN technologies? What are the success stories of these startups?
We got varying degrees, right? So historically, always it was on imaging, right? And so PET, which is processed on electron tomography, the tech was developed, some of it was contributed by CERN, and MRI, the magnets, and all of it. From a startup perspective, there's one called as Therapet. Sorry, I just blanked out your name. Therapet, 2 physicists who came up with, they build proton therapy machines to do cancer therapy. It's a startup based right in Meran in Switzerland. We're working with another startup called Reshape Systems. It's a spin out of CERN. Andrea, who's the CEO and founder, is building AI for reliability systems. He built that for CERN. So imagine we've got millions of sensors that will stop or break, right? Saying we shut down. So he wrote the whole reliability code for the LHC that you can go and use it outside. So you're building a fire evacuation plan for this. It'll give you the reliability engineering for how to do it, where the building stands, all AI driven. So that's a spin out that came out last year. So and he's building great things. I think those are 2 successes because it's CERN folks who are actually doing. Infocal is another startup which uses our lasers to mark food and engrave. There's 2 or 3 more, which is early stages.
And what are your future strategic objectives? Which areas are you planning to focus more? So,
we've got photonics, laser stuff. We've got something which is on timing, which is called White Rabbit. The technology which we talked about today is called Accurate Chip. So we've got a lot of these fundamental platform technologies which can be used for multiple things, from DNA sequencing to insulin pump control to all of it. We are fully aware we are not the experts of all applications. We want startups to come tell us, hey, by the way, I think I can use it for it. I'm like, go try it, because I don't know, right? And so if you ask me what my goal the next years is, that we want more startups coming in saying, look, I've run out of prototypes because I've got some money internally to build prototypes. I'm like, there are 20 startups which has taken all the boards. There's 20 more waiting, which means that people want more, which is fantastic, amazing problem to have, where I can go in again and say, look, I've got all the prototypes out because these startups are building it. I want more, right? And I want more technologies where I can build prototypes and give. So that's pretty much what I want to measure on.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Pleasure's mine.
We are now with Dr. Chakuma Agu, co-founder and CEO of Apps Biotechnologies. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
What is the importance of the current summit for you?
The current summit? Well, it's really very enriching because this is really a space, a place where innovation happens, right? So the people that I've spoken to this morning, and what I experience, is that a lot of people here have entrepreneurial mindset, which is entrepreneur is all about, driving innovation is what will be very, very useful for this country, So I see a lot of young people, young adults, trying to bring things, innovative ideas, big minds. Like this, the keynotes that we had this morning was excellent, and then the panel speakers, bringing the investors on board, that was really hilarious. So I see it as a very positive trend, and Hello Tomorrow Turkey is amazing because they're trying to make things happen, and this is happening here in Istanbul. It's great.
What innovative approaches does ABS Biotechnologies take in systemical therapies, and what are your key projects in this field?
Oh wow! So that's what I'm going to talk today anyway in the afternoon. So basically, our company works on stem cell derived cellular models. So basically, we have two key product lines. One of them is that we can make blood vessel cells from human induced pluripotent stem cells, and these cells basically recapitulate the blood vessels of the vascular beds, blood vessels of the brain, and the blood vessels of the heart, and the blood vessels of the kidney. Means that with that we can create these cellular models on a dish, on a reagent plate, and then use it for predicting conditions such as heart attack, high blood pressure, and stroke. This is one product line. The other is that we have another product line which we also generate from stem cells from humans, and then use this. This is heart muscle cells, which are really very matured because we have a patented technology that we put these two cells together and get them matured, and we can use that to predict dangerous irregular heartbeats. That on a dish again, that's
amazing.
So we have all these things generated, and this is what give us the competitive edge against our competitions. So.
What is your vision for the future role of stem cell therapies in healthcare, and how do you view their widespread adoption and impact on public health?
Well, the vision is really huge. My vision is that imagine that the cells, a world where the cells within us hold the key to safer and effective therapy. Now, stem cell derived cardiovascular tools can provide that. And what we will also need is that we need an inclusive cohort of people whom we can use, to create those cellular models so that we can make sure that everybody who is here in this space, in this population, in Turkey, for instance, in Istanbul, people from the Asian or European side are also included, in this sort of, test system, so that nobody will be missed out, so that anyone that goes to, for instance, to the pharmacy to pick up a drug, and will be certainly that the drug will work for him or her, so it means that we want an inclusive medicine, and also to ensure that the medicine that we are creating are really tested in models that really is similar to humans, essentially human cells, and that's what we are trying to create. And that is a vision for the future. Yeah.
How does ABS Biotechnologies address scientific and ethical issues surrounding stem cell therapies, and what solutions do you propose?
Well, that's actually a very good question, right? So the thing is, we're using human-induced pluripotent stem cells, right? So these are cells that we have in our primary cells that we have in our bodies. For instance, primary cells from blood cells, which we isolate, and we reprogram those cells and use them to make stem cells. Now, what we don't work on are the human embryonic stem cells, which has a lot of ethical debate. So, but human-induced pluripotent cells is of less of ethical concern regarding, creating something, tampering the embryo. So we don't do that. However, we also ensure that the people that we get samples from, that they also consent to the materials that we get from them, right? So that everything, all the reprogramming that we do, that everything is really ethically that is we do it ethically, so that's one of the key. But it's really a very, very key issue, a very good question, so yeah.
Thank
so
you.
they have to, the clinic has to fill out informed consent, and then the donors will sign, and they know exactly what's going to happen with their samples.
What role does Cambridge University play in innovation and entrepreneurship, and how was your experience there contributed to your company's success?
Well, Cambridge is the home of innovation. There is over more than 200 startups. So the thing is that Cambridge is really, there is a very good, Cambridge provide a space for people, who wants to innovate, not only to invent things from the lab, but to take the invention from the lab to convert them to business. So Cambridge is known as a hub, and for me, I spent 10 years in Cambridge, and all what I was doing was really purely research and learning from colleagues, working with like-minded individuals, trying to set up solutions that can really have a huge positive impact on the healthcare, and this is really what I really cherished, working and have lived in Cambridge, Yeah.
And where does ABS plan to expand in the future?
Wow. That's a very, very big. It's a very big ambition. But the thing is that we do not really close doors to any geography. Right now, we are trying to develop, the mission critical tools so that we can be able to bring our product into market. But however, Europe has a very good market, but we're also looking into American and Asian, market to ensure that our product, which we are trying to make inclusive, would be accessible in almost every nation. So actually, we don't close any boundaries. So that's why we would like, to develop solutions that can be used almost in every country. For everybody, democratization of medicine research, so that there will be equality, in the healthcare.
Thank you for accepting our request and your time.
Pleasure.
Very nice to meet you.
My pleasure.
Now we are with Dr. Sarah Ellison, Senior Consultant at Oxentia. What's the importance of the current summit for you?
Well, I'm really excited to be here, surrounded by really innovative Turkish entrepreneurs. It's really to network with these entrepreneurs and also the wider stakeholders here today, investors.
What are the major challenges in commercializing research outputs, and what strategy do you employ to overcome them?
So there's a lot of challenges from the technology transfer manager perspective from within the university. There can be challenges in terms of, especially in the UK, but also in other countries, there may be one or two universities who are really expert at commercializing the technology that comes from their academic research. However, a lot of universities are just not used to doing that, and they don't have those underlying systems and processes and policies that really support and incentivize the academic researchers to be able to develop their technology to become eventually a product or service on the market. So that's one of the challenges. Another can come from a higher level. So if you have policies set at a national level, these can create incentives which sometimes they're supposed to promote innovation, but they can hold them back.
What do you do to overcome them?
So in terms of the internal processes and systems, you can do a lot of internal marketing to raise awareness amongst both the professional staff supporting the entrepreneurial academics, but also to support and raise the capability and awareness of academic researchers on what is possible and what skills that they will need to be able to succeed.
What are the key elements of a successful technology transfer process, and how do you provide guidance at each stage?
So the technology transfer process it's actually quite iterative in nature. So typically within a university environment, the first step is to identify innovative projects that will have a potential in the market. So there's that initial stage of internal searching and finding those innovations. And then there's prioritization, resource management, and thinking about what is the core IP and how to protect that. There'll be understanding the market in greater detail. Then there'll be translating, so what route can be used to commercialize this innovation? Will it be a licensing opportunity? Maybe we need to form a separate spin out, and the decision around that is quite complex, and there's multiple different variables, including importantly what the academic researcher would like, as well as the market need, the funding, and where the sources of funding are.
And what is your vision for the evolution of the technology transfer and entrepreneurship ecosystem? What are your future plans?
So at Auxentia, we support entrepreneurs from a whole multitude of different countries around the world through our accelerator programs. So we are really passionate about seeing and meeting the needs of those countries through those programs. So we provide training and mentoring, and we have mentors all over the world. We have local partners so that we really understand those ecosystems, so that we can accelerate the technologies forward and enable them to grow, to scale, to internationalize their businesses.
Thank you for accepting our request for this short interview, and also your time. Nice to meet you. Right now we are with Benjamin Joff, a partner at SOSV. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for accepting our request. What is the importance of the current summit for you?
So we're very curious about the development of emerging markets. We invest all around the world. About half our portfolio is in the US and half is actually distributed all around the world. And we see Turkey as a potential strong market for innovation in climate and health tech.
Can you summarize SOSV's investment philosophy and focus in detail?
Yes, so we focus on planetary and human health at the very early stage. Generally, we're the first investors in the company we back. We invest at pre-seed when there's just generally a team of founders with a technology that they're trying to turn into a product and bring to market. Our philosophy is to support founders from the very early stage all the way to the market through our expertise, the labs we provide, and the ecosystem that we have built for deep tech support.
What does receiving investment from SOSV mean for entrepreneurs, and how do you evaluate projects for investment?
So what it means for entrepreneurs to join the SOSV family is to have access to our network. So it's internal network of expertise, the network of other investments we've made in the space. We are one of the most active investors in health tech and climate tech with over 100 deals in each category. So talking with other founders is very beneficial to understand, how you can become successful as well. We also provide access to lab space and lab equipment that we have installed worth millions of dollars. And in terms of evaluating the deals and evaluating the projects, like every type of investor, we look at the team, we look at the market, we look at what kind of momentum they have. But I'd say we also try to see how it fits into our ecosystem of startups. And we try to see how much support we can provide them so that they can reach the next inflection point in their trajectory.
Any notable success stories among SOSV's projects, and what factors contributed to their success?
Yes, so we have some notable successes in terms of valuation. We have several unicorns that we backed from day one. including food tech, companies making new types of proteins using vegetarian formulation, using precision fermentation, using cultured meat, companies like Notco, Perfect Day, Memphis Meats, now named Upside Food, and also other companies in the hard tech space. But I'd say some of the most interesting companies are also the younger companies that are not yet super visible because they haven't raised very large funding, but can have potentially very big impact, particularly in industrial decarbonization.
And what do you support? What support do you offer?
So we have a team that's pretty large, over 50 people in the team at SOSV, with a lot of engineers and PhDs that can help clarify the targets and support the science development. As I mentioned, we also have lab equipment. We have big network of co-investors, hundreds, if not thousands of co-investors, because our portfolio is very large. So we can provide access to resources that don't necessarily exist where the startups come from. When you look at an ecosystem, you have the question of talent, from tech talent, marketing talent, industrial talent. You also have the problem of capital, from very early stage to later stage, including exits. And you have access, the question of customers. And in Turkey, you might have very interesting initial tech talent, but maybe it's difficult to scale here. It's difficult to find customers. It's difficult to find funding beyond the early stages. So this is what we can bring.
What future trends or sectors do you anticipate in deep tech, and where does SOSV plan to focus?
So it's quite interesting that so our broad focus is climate tech and health tech, but within those categories, we see new things all the time. Until a few years ago, we hadn't done many deals in ocean technologies, decarbonization of maritime transport, for example. And now this is a very strong interest of some of our GPs, general partners at the firm. In the past few years, we've done a lot of investments in new alternative proteins. And now we're looking at tools for companies creating those proteins, such as fermenters, growth media. So I'd say our thesis keeps evolving. We keep getting surprised by what entrepreneurs are coming up with, new science, new applications of known technologies. So we're very open, but all within climate tech, health tech, and more generally, re-industrialization.
Thanks for all the information you have given. Now we are with Dr. Eliza Arthofer, Assistant Director of Broken Street and Head of the Program Partnerships Management. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
What is the importance of the current summit for you?
Well, deep tech is an incredibly important topic, and as we heard today, it is really important in so many different areas, not just planetary health and human health, the two topics that are discussed today, but really in all aspects of life. And I think innovation only comes from approaches like the ones that have been described already throughout the day today. And I think in order to make improvements in these areas, we really need to look at deep tech and need to fund it and help companies and entrepreneurs to develop new innovations.
And what innovations is Broken String developing for safer cell and gene therapies, and what impact do they anticipate?
So Broken String Biosciences is a UK startup. They're a Cardiff University spin-out and they're post-Series A. They are a genomics startup, so they have developed a sequencing-based technology that aids in the development of cell and gene therapies that use genome engineering as their core technology. The development of the product that we offer helps in enabling safer therapies by being able to monitor precisely the changes that are being made in these therapies with genome engineering.
How did you transition from academia to biotech entrepreneurship successfully, and what were the major challenges?
It's a very good question, because I talked a little bit about success earlier and what that means, and I think success can come in many different ways. How did I transition? I went through the very generic route of an undergraduate and master's degree and a PhD degree and then a postdoc in academia. And during that time I was living in America. I then left academia, decided I did not want to, or I decided I didn't want to be a professor. I probably also wouldn't have had the publications necessary to become a professor. And so I moved into industry. Mostly though because I've always been wanting to work in a faster paced environment than academia is. The intention of academic research is very different to what industrial research is meant for. In industry, what you want to develop is a product for humans. So there is a time pressure, there is cost pressure. In academia, you are researching things we don't know yet for the sake of knowing, not necessarily for the sake of developing a product. Eventually, that would obviously be great, but not always, sometimes just for the sake of knowing. And so the intention is just very different than the purposes. And so industry, where everything is more fast-paced because we want to make a product that goes to a human, that is ultimately what I wanted to do, and that was a big decision for me or a big reason for me to change.
What approach does Broken String take to develop safer treatment in cell and gene therapy, and what hurdles have they faced?
So, like I mentioned, we have a genomics solution that helps companies develop cell and gene therapies by being able to identify very precisely the modifications that are being introduced by gene editing. And those modifications are the intended ones, but there can also be unintended ones. And those are especially the ones that companies would want to monitor and be aware of throughout drug development, because ideally the product that is eventually given to a human is safe and works. And our product, our technology helps with that. The hurdles that the company has overcome are obviously the ones that every startup has to overcome. So you start from nothing, from the ground up. You have an idea, a great technology, but you need to build a company around. You need to convince people with money to give you money so that you can start working on something. You need to hire great talent. And then eventually you need to develop a product that works and that people or companies want to buy. So yeah, I would say some pretty big challenges and hurdles they've overcome successfully so far.
How does Broken String manage collaboration and partnerships, and which institutions do they find most beneficial to work with?
Broken String actually manages collaborations and partnerships on very many different levels. They still have a very strong collaboration with Cardiff University. All 3 out of the 4 founders of the company came from Cardiff University. 2 are still based there. So there's this very strong tie with the university. The university also provided a lot of support in the early phases of company formation. But Broken String also works with other academic collaborators, either on establishing the technology in their labs or developing the technology further. In addition, though, we also have commercial partnerships or even regulatory partnerships where we work with different consortia around the world in order to establish the technology in a wider area and not only make sure people have access to it, but people also understand and see the value in it. So basically help validate it across a very wide area of applications for medicine.
And what future goals is Broken String focusing on?
Well, growing as a company, developing the technology to make it very widely available to ultimately enable safer development of cell and gene therapies. But the technology has many other future applications it could go into. It could actually, in the future, predict the types of treatments or the types of modifications, let's say, that are being made for these therapies is one. And many other ones.
We appreciate all the information you have given and thank you for your time.